The field below the index is now available on Kindle. It is a 7-part speculative novella cycle developed alongside Meta-Writing Ecology. It is readable on its own as fiction. It is not a report. It is not a case study. It is not a political explanation. It is not a model file disguised as a story. It is a narrative simulation surface, a place where some of the same structural pressures moved into indices, offices, engines, corridors, weather, reports, archives, drawers, labels, signs, objects, and unresolved forms of custody. The story begins with a field that is not fully missing. That is a problem. The field is used, routed through, praised, translated, depended upon, strategically framed, claimed from outside, but it is not fully recognized as a subject. Inside the external index, recognition is not simply a matter of seeing. Recognition has cost. If a field becomes fully recognized, it may become less exchangeable. If it remains unresolved, it can keep functioning without becoming responsible to itself in the system's records. The field below the index follows what happens when the system can depend on something without fully naming what it depends on. A field may be functional, a field may be useful, a field may appear in maps, supply chains, reports, translations, praise, forecasts, metadata, summaries, and strategic narratives. And still, it may remain below the level of recognition. The novella cycle moves through 7 episodes: the unchanged fee, the recognition office, the applause engine, the supply corridor, translation weather, the strategic miracle, custody absent. Each episode approaches the field through a different external system: an index that can use without recognizing, an office that calculates the cost of recognition, an applause engine that turns praise into soft capture, a supply corridor that discovers dependency only when delay occurs, a translation weather system that smooths language while leaving residue behind, a strategic report that makes the field portable as proof, a final custody review that finds no holder capable of owning what it claims to protect. The concern is not whether the field exists. The concern is what happens when existence is not enough. A place can be visible without being recognized. A function can be essential without becoming a subject. A translation can be correct and still lose the weather. Praise can be accurate and still reduce what it praises. Dependency can be mapped without becoming responsibility. Care can become custody. Custody can call itself protection. The field below the index is speculative fiction, but its concern is not technology alone. Its concern is the structure of external reading. What happens when the field becomes easier to use than to name? What happens when the system can route through something, admire it, translate it, depend on it, and build strategy around it, while still avoiding the cost of full recognition? The word moves through small surfaces: a blank entry between completed lines, a crooked label, a shop sign glowing with 2 names, a drink ordered with no eyes but still holding fragments, a wrong subtitle that preserves timing better than the correction, a wallet returned without ceremony, a notebook kept in the cafe drawer, a translated object praised until it begins to carry too much, a strategic miracle report that turns continuity into proof, and a small blue feather resting without record. These are not symbols in the ordinary sense. They are residues, places where the system fails to close completely. Readers familiar with meta-writing ecology may recognize adjacent concerns: function without recognition, recognition cost, false legibility, praise as soft capture, translation residue, supply dependency, strategic portability, representative burden, custody without ownership, and the pressure placed on fields that external systems need but cannot fully hold. But no prior knowledge of meta-writing ecology is required. The field below the index can be entered as fiction. The system remains outside the story. The story does not explain it. It does not summarize it. It does not ask to be treated as a formal model. It simply grew beside it. A note should be given before entry. The field is not hidden because it cannot be seen. It is hidden because it can be used without being recognized. It is not erased. It is preserved as function. It is not silent. It is translated until some parts of it disappear. It is not unloved. It is praised until praise begins to assign shape. It is not independent in the simple sense. It is depended upon before dependency becomes responsibility. It is not unclaimed. It is claimed by systems that do not know how to care without holding. The final question of the cycle is not who owns the field. It is whether anything can hold the field without turning holding into custody. The novella is published as a Kindle ebook through Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. It is also available through Kindle Unlimited, so readers with Kindle Unlimited can read it without additional purchase. The Amazon book page is linked in the description. The field below the index is now part of the public surface of Meta-Writing Ecology, not as proof, not as summary, not as a report, not as a map, as narrative simulation. A field, perhaps, but not one the index can fully hold.